Be in the Air Force. Now, of course, she's a successful TV anchor in Hyderabad. We also have retired Captain Tinkle Gupta. She joins us here in studio. We have Air Chief Marshal S. Krishnaswamy. He joins us from Gurgaon. He's a former Chief of Air Staff and also as an analyst, Commodore C. Uday Bhaskar. If I can start with you, Padmavati, do you think, you've been there, do you think women can do everything men can?
Of course, that's in my case only. I proved it there. There was no gender bias at all at my workplace. They have given me equal opportunities and responsibilities where we proved successful.
And why do you think then, Tinkle Gupta, that women didn't get hired? These commandos that came out, if you all are saying you were there, you also had a good experience, why don't you think they got hired?
Because of our VIPs only. You just mentioned that VIPs are not the takers. So if the mental state of the people are not changing, however we put our effort, we will never be recognized.
What do you think they're afraid of?
That we are not able to we will be able to protect them. Give them a chance. Let them prove themselves wrong. Then you might say, no, we will not have women as takers. But give them a chance. At least if somebody NSG has tried, just give them a chance once. Like I can quote my example in 1997. No lady was allowed to go in the field. My CO took me there. Among thousands of men, he put my tent next to his tent. He made my toilet separate, but he took that chance. Even the senior officer said, who's this lady? Who's this lady on the, because I was in signal, so I used to operate the exchange. They all told, who's this lady? You are not supposed to carry. My CEO said, this is my decision. Right. I have taken her. It will be my responsibility if something happens to her. So if I could have done in 1997 among thousands of men, these ladies are trained for that thing. At least give them a chance.
Okay. Air Chief Marshal S. Krishnaswamy, why is it? Obviously, the armed forces thinks that, they're not ready yet. That's why they don't allow them into combat. Do you think that the NSG women should be hired immediately by the VVIPs?
Well, I think the term commando has a different connotation for different forces. For example, you have the Navy, Naval SEAL, we have the Air Force Garudas, we have the NSG has its own commander force, and they are all employed differently. As far as I am concerned, personally, there should not be any gender bias in the country. That's very straightforward. But however, commandos is a very, very special subject. I can focus on typically in the military space.
But these women are trained to be commandos, sir. They've done their NSG course. The NSG director says they are ready. Then what's the problem?
I respect NSG for whatever that he wants to use them for. That I have no quarrel on that. But there are fundamental differences. After all, there are this called the physical limits. That is your energy, the strength, and we expect, for example, commandos to be dropped behind enemy lines, parachuted down, and then they are left alone. If you take, for example, the SEALs or Garudas, the para drop, they can swim long distances, and they live off the earth.
While you're speaking, sir, we were showing those pictures of women para dropping, so I just wanted to point that out to you, that they're trained and they were
just doing. I say with due respects, showing a few para drops are different to carrying 150 kilograms on your back and dropping behind the lines. Okay. And we are the first women boxer in the country.
Yes.
Right. And so it's coming up, but we still have a long line to demonstrate. Okay. The last line I would like to say is that the rejection rates are very high in commander selection, and it's very difficult to find the right people and train when we really have to.
Okay.
I stop at that.
Uday Bhaskar, the fact that he's saying women are the weaker sex, you kind of agree, don't you?
No, I just make this point, Sunetra, that first of all, the Director General of the NSG, if he has made a professional assessment about the competence of the women who have been recruited, we go along with it. It's his call. But there's a larger issue here, and I say this as an analyst, that while we all respect gender equity, that there is an inherent physical and physiological characteristic. I wouldn't call it as a weakness, but certain characteristics that are specific to the female of the species. Okay. Now, those are to be taken as a given. But this does not in any way discount young ladies like Tinkle or Padmavati who have proved that they can keep up with whatever is expected of them. So you set certain standards. Once you meet those standards, each country and its military can take a decision about what numbers they would induct. But those countries that have actually inducted women into the combat, we have a number of Western countries.
Yes.
We have the experiences of the United States, of Canada, of Australia, Israel, and Britain to an extent, where there is a review going on. I mean, there is a specific case when the United States had used women in combat roles both in Iraq and in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
They had certain experiences that they are now reviewing because the nature of the battlefield has also changed. So countries have to take a call.
And
so I just want to make that point that we respect women for what they're doing, and I salute the Tinkles and the Padmawatis.
But there is a difference.
But we must accept,
Tinkle,
as I said, these.
No, see, I just like to mention here, there was a survey done by the COs. There was a survey done for the COs of all the units, and they were told to rate the lady officers.
Yeah.
To your surprise, they have rated lady officers more sincerity, more dedication, more.
I'm not surprised.
See, in 1997, I was put as adjutant and my CO complimented because our emotional quotient is more than the men. We are able to handle them emotionally also, and
does that make us good for combat though? Are we physically strong enough?
That has to start from grassroots level. My point is why there are no Sainik school military academies for girls.
Okay.
You pick them up at 6 standard boys, but why are you not picking girls? Let them decide on their own that it should be from the beginning.
No, I'll ask that to Air Chief Marshal Krishna Swamy. But before that, Padmavati, in the media we have women doing everything. Now you're in the media, so you know that as well. But do you think there are practical problems in the forces that is what Uday Bhaskar and what the Air Chief Marshal are referring to?
See, from the training from the
training
itself, from the period of training itself, we are trained like that, and commitments what we have been given successfully we are completing. So there is no question of our sensibility or a kind of emotional weakness. So we are always in any assignment we stood at par with men or our colleagues.
And the question about strength and the physical kind of fitness which Commodore Uday Bhaskar was talking about, did you see women there who could do exactly the same as men were doing?
Exactly. If you see the passing out parade of any armed forces, you see men and women officers performing the same drill. So what does it mean? So physically they are fit as fit as men.
I have 12 mast, really. Yeah. Which is not easy.
So Air Chief Marshal Krishna Swamy, if the women have so much confidence in themselves, then why don't our officers believe in them? Why aren't the politicians who want protection, why don't they believe in them?
Well, I have to speak to you very straightforward, very on a professional front.
Sure.
It's not about politics. It's not about a lady as Padmavati here. She's done an adjutant's job or been very, very proved as good as any officer. I have no doubt. There are brilliant officers, brilliant engineers, women. We have, it's proven enough now. Now we are talking about commandos, which is a very special force. And
but the
then we can't
chief
take chance.
himself says, sir, that they're ready.
Let him say it. After all, he has a responsibility.
Okay, so I want to ask you.
I'm not convinced. I'm saying it. I'm a combatant.
I
I'm saying it
understand.
with the due
So I want to ask you to respond to
responsibilities.
So I want you to respond.
Words here.
I want you to respond to what Tinkle is suggesting, that why don't you set up Sainik schools for girls as well, so they'll get the training from the word go. She thinks that will make a huge difference.
Please go and set up, but there are
sir, you
for
have
example,
to set up. The state has to set up.
State has to set up, yes. Why not?
So
and you see how many boys are coming
then?
from Sainik school. Sorry?
Do you think then perhaps then they'll be prepared?
It is not so important as far as I am concerned that Sainik school to be important.
Okay.
We pick up from right across the country. There are brilliant people out there. But for commanders, we look at a different qualities altogether.
Uday Bhaskar, do you see a time, let's be practical here, that these NSG women will get as many job opportunities as their male peers, and when women will
Yes,
be...
See, Sunetra, on this,
yes, they will go on escorting VVIPs.
Okay, yeah.
No, I think on this, my assessment is that when we talk about the VVIPs, there are a very small number of people in India who actually are prescribed or who have been given this kind of a protection. The number is between 16 to 18 as far as I can remember
16,
from last time. Now, this is actually a very, very special relationship. I mean, if you go by the book, every VVIP, president of any country, big country, small country, United States, former Soviet Union, China, India, they are actually consulted personally. You need a certain comfort level. Now, it's a bit of a pity, and I say this in lighter vein. I respect gender, I respect women, I want to make that very clear. But when we talk about women commandos, unfortunately, the image that comes to mind is the late Colonel Gaddafi and what he had done in terms of his personal protection. That is an aside. But every VVIP is actually allowed to talk or interview the person who would be as part of that personal bodyguard, the commandos. And therefore, if these 16 VVIPs in our country have, for whatever reason, not accepted